I'm Adam.
And I'm Julie.
And this is a little bit of our story. We are moving to Oakland, Maryland in less than a week to become campus pastors at the Palms location up there. This was not originally a part of our plan.
Yeah, so this spring, earlier this spring, very pregnant, I just felt God prompt that he was probably going to move us after our baby was born. And I remember telling Adam, and you looked at me and you were like, what are you talking about?
I was like, if we're moving, we need to move before the baby's born. So We're not moving when the baby's born.
That's crazy. August was the official starting of selling our house, but we didn't know where we were going. We thought Virginia Beach at that point.
Yeah, that was an unraveling at that point in time because we moved some friends out of town, and they were just saying, like, look, if you feel the Lord prompting, start packing your boxes. That was the beginning of a process for us that we thought was going to be a lot more of a mild season of moving. Just whether we were going to rent and try to save some money or do what I don't know. It just doesn't make it didn't really make sense. I just knew that the Lord was speaking and said, now's the time to go. And then it was just like, no, we need to get the house on the market now. And then so we had a contract quick, and everything went through well. We ended up having 45 days of closing that we got to stay in our home because at the same time, Julie gave birth to our son, who's now just over 3 months old. Again, our hearts were in transition. We knew it. We felt it. We were putting the pieces together that we could to move forward. And I get a call from Pastor Brandon. There's times he calls to talk, and there's other times he calls to talk. Just said, dude, the Lord gave me a vision last night. It was a dream, and it was very clearly a vision. When I woke up, the Lord spoke and said, now's time to move forward with this Oakland campus, and it needs a pastor. And he said he started praying about it, and just as he was listing out what he saw were the needs for that campus, the Lord just gave him one name, and it was just like, he's like, dude, you need to pray about this, and you need to talk to your wife about it, but I'm not telling you to go, and I will never do that. But your name came up, and I couldn't get you out of my heart. It was at that moment, in that phone call, I knew that this was the Lord. That was my confirmation about this transition, and a wave of things that had happened over the year all culminated in that moment, in that conversation for me, going, this is what this year has meant, Adam, and this is what all this has culminated to. So I did say we had our son, in this time frame. I don't remember what night I told Julie.
It was the night before he was born. Brandon called the day before Zeke was born, and that was the conversation.
No, I didn't send her into labor.
No, he didn't. But Brandon did tell you in that conversation. Maybe don't tell her yet, because my due date was the next day. You just said, I can't hold on to this. I have to just tell you about it. And I was actually having contractions already, so this was a very interesting evening. But I remember, he knew, but I didn't know right away. My gut was, what? There's no way. Honestly, from Virginia Beach? No way. I'm gonna cry thinking about it, because it was surprising. And we had looked at renting houses in Virginia Beach, and each one fell through with something random and weird with each one that it didn't make sense. It was God, clearly.
This has definitely been a spiritual stress test and a marital stress test for us, not in a bad way, but there has been a lot of flexing that's going on for us being newlyweds, late in life, having a new kid in the picture, and all the things coming from two different worlds, combining, with I got a stepson in the picture, and so there's all these dynamics that go into this, but God is still God. So we got into a great rental for a solid price, and it was within the budget. The Lord provided literally the means that we've needed for this entire season through the closing of our home. The equity that was in the house is literally, down to almost $1, has covered every expense that we've needed to this point, which has been wild, and still have enough for down payment for the house that we were looking at in Oakland. So it's been incredible. Sold the house, got the money, got moved into a rental, and we took a trip up to Oakland because we wanted to look at a couple of houses that we had shared with one another. One of the first houses that I found that I was like, oh, this would be freaking awesome. Like, not paying that much money for the house, one day can we do it? That's fine. We're not gonna qualify for that. She sent me a handful of houses one day, and she sent me this one that I had looked at originally. Again, well above our price range. And I was like, I didn't even talk to her about that one. And this is one that she found too. And I was like, you know what, Lord? Pastor Brandon said it, your will, your bill. Like, money, money, money. No, I'm just kidding. But legitimately, all right, God, like if this is where you're leading us, I will absolutely, heck yeah. Like, I don't know how you're gonna provide for this, but we'll move forward with this thing. So, house outside of our price range that we're looking at with jobs that we don't have yet, with the end date to our rent, knowing that we're leaving town at the end of the year, just moving forward, knowing God's in it, right? Talk to the realtor, what's our next steps, because technically we both don't have jobs yet. He was like, well, first get a job. I feel like an idiot right now. 38-year-old, father of two, wife, making this move. Just, what do I gotta do first? Well, first you need a job, bud. A couple weeks later, was able to set up an interview with this company, that I was looking to work with. Just seemed like really awesome people, awesome company.
They weren't even hiring.
Yeah, come to find out at the interview. Guy was like, we're technically not hiring right now, but he said, my motto is to get work and then bring the people in, and I've got a bunch of contracts out there. If you're looking for a place, like, we'll bring you on. Working as a trim carpenter, you're not gonna make enough money to buy a house way outside your budget, right? So again, Lord, I don't know how you're gonna move. When we decided to put our house on the market, the Lord spoke very clearly to my heart. Before we sat down with our realtor to see what our equity would be, see what we would make, the Lord put a very specific number on my heart to donate. We were coming back from Oakland in October, and the Lord just spoke very clearly. When I was driving, He said that money's for the church. So I called Pastor Brandon, let him know what we wanted to give. Our heart's in Oakland, obviously. And so I was like, man, is this any way we can give like to Oakland for that or whatever? And he's like, well, technically you can give this for one day and this, that, and another. And I called him back, the next day and was like, actually, dude, no, this is for the church. This isn't for one day. This is for the church. He was preaching on one day, a couple weeks later, and called Julie and was like, hey, what do you want to give to one day? And she shot a number out. That was on my heart as well. But the Lord just impressed on my heart. He said, but is that sacrificial? This is a season where we kind of need money, because what we're doing. And he said, but is it sacrificial? So he put another number on my heart, just immediately. He doubled that. And I was like, talk to my wife. I said it and without hesitation, she said, let's do it.
In between going to Oakland in October and then the sale of our house, I had applied for a job out in Garrett County with the public schools. I've worked as a speech-language pathologist in the schools for 12 and a half years, which is wild. But they had one opening in Garrett County, and it's been open since May. So I looked at it, and I remember seeing it online for the first time and just felt this nudge from God. It's been waiting for you. My interview was actually on Veterans Day, and they told me that the board met that following evening. If you're the candidate that we select and the board approves you, we'll give you a call on Wednesday. Morning of Wednesday, November 13th, I'm sitting there holding our son and just talking to God, and nothing. And then midday, got a call. God prompted me last year to go down to part-time this year, so I haven't been making a full-time salary, but my full-time salary would have been less than what they offered me by the amount that we've given to the church.
So that combined giving is what she's actually making as an increase in Oakland. It was just wild. I was like, you're kidding me right now. You're not kidding me, and I get it, but I'm still like, this is insane. Yeah. We're getting that house.
That was one of the, he's like, we can get that house.
I did. I was like, you get your offer letter. Like, we're going to go get this house. Well, it was cool because the house actually dropped $25,000. Said, this is as much as I want to spend on a house. and it was $25,000 more than that. And it had dropped right into that number. And I was just like, you gotta be kidding me right now.
The coolest thing about the housing situation is that we had this beautiful home that Adam and his dad had rebuilt from scratch. I mean, their hands were all over it. So selling that to a single woman, which is really cool. Then knowing that God had this beautiful home for us before we left Virginia Beach, on the beach. I mean, we're in the ocean front. Like, we are down on the north end of the ocean front. We can walk to the beach.
Renting right now.
Renting, yes.
We didn't buy a beach home to move to Oakland. No.
But we get to, end out our time here in this gorgeous home to then move to this beautiful property in Oakland that's on 2 acres and in a peaceful area. And so God has really worked in that situation, because this has been a very challenging time, a time of feeling unsettled in a lot of ways, because we haven't really had a space to settle into. And with a newborn and an 8-year-old, it's really challenging. So knowing what He's put on our plate, He's given us that peace in this. Sometimes it's only been one step that we can take. So when we take that step, that's when God has moved. So this hasn't been God moving and then we're like, yay, God's moved. This is great. It's literally been us stepping out in those moments saying, this is all we can do. Okay, we're trusting you, God. And then He moves. Just an encouragement, because Pastor Brandon talks about it all the time, that God just wants your heart. Those moments we can choose to say, this is really hard, God, I just want to run. And I've had those moments.
Or settle. I just want to sit.
Settle. I just want to sit. I just want to feel peace right now.
Safety.
Safety, yeah, safety, that's a good word.
False safety, yeah.
I just want status quo. I mean, it's been fine. Why is this disruption happening? But knowing that God just wants our obedience, and when you give that to Him, your heart follows, even if it's not there in those moments. I've definitely had moments where it's just been really hard. And we're still walking through a few pieces and trusting, because He's good. He's faithful, and He's got all of us.
He's been faithful every step of the way. Again, He's gone before us, but He's asked us to move before He's given us what He's gone before us with. And He's been faithful in every step. When you face things that test all of your limits, and you're ready to break and are beyond yourself and beyond your ability to handle and manage, like, that's where you meet God. I mean, we're a living testimony of it, and we're living in the middle of the testimony, still being worked out. But we closed on our house on the 27th, and we're going from the beach to the mountains. Ain't got no winter coat. Actually, my parents just got me a winter coat, and then she just got a winter coat too, so we're gonna need some thermals and all that type of stuff, but just ordered some ice scrapers for our cars.
You know.